All right, we're here with Benji Gosnell out of East Surry High School down here in North Carolina. Benji, you guys already have 2 games under your belt, 1-1 so far. Played a tough team last week in Reedsville, I believe is how you say it.
Yep.
And then an upper division team in North Davidson. How do you believe that your junior year is sort of going right now, despite the fact it's in the spring?
I think it's I kind of think it's going how we expected it to go. You know, week 1 was a good team. I think we probably should have beat them by a little bit more if it was a clear weather. But with what we have and the experience we're bringing back, which isn't a lot to be frank, I think they're adjusting well, adapting well. Playing a really good team like Reedsville last week really gave our younger guys kind of a deeper dip in the water, I guess I should say, to like varsity playing style and how that works. So I think this week we'll be really prepared and our younger guys will be ready to step up.
You mentioned not really having a lot when it comes to returning guys. Another thing you have to think about is you guys are coming off a state title game, so everybody's sort of gunning for you. How do you handle that being one of the elder guys on the roster now and just sort of helping the younger guys?
Yeah, I just let them know it's just a game. It's football. We're playing football. It's fun. We've been playing this ever since we were 7-year-old, 8-year-old. We just playing on a bigger stage in front of maybe a little bit more people and playing people our age or a little bit older. I mean, it's no different. We execute. We do our job, and most of the time we're probably going to win. I just try to be I try to keep them loose, you know, people, and I was one of them. They tend to get too tight, tend to get too serious. I'd crack a joke here and there. You know, just try to keep them laughing, and just try to teach them and learn them how to enjoy the game. You know, it's a game, you got to enjoy it, you got to have fun. So I just try to keep them loose and things like that and tell them to do their job and have fun while doing it.
How different does it feel to get this handful of games in the spring opposed to playing in the fall as you have been probably since you were a child?
Yeah, I mean, weather-wise, it hasn't really felt any different. That's how North Carolina is. Season-wise, it honestly doesn't feel any different, really. I don't really pay attention to, like, national-wide, when they're playing and things like that. So for us, it kind of just feels like the fall. I mean, I guess it really hasn't sunk in that we only play 7 games because we're only in week 3 right now. But it'll probably feel different come playoff time and things like that. But, I mean, I'm just happy we're getting to play. We're getting to play and things like that. So, yeah.
A part of getting this 7 games is that you're going to have to embrace the fact that you get 2 seasons pretty much within 12 months. Yeah. What's your thought process on that? How do you handle that in your head, just knowing that you're going to take that physical beating of football within that short amount of time?
Yeah, right. I tend to try to take it 1 week, 1 month at a time. You know, take it little baby steps. Get through this week, recover, get through the next. After my sophomore year, I wasn't really hurt. I mean, I've not really got to have a lot of injuries. I have some minor ticks here and there every now and again, but I tend to fix those up with just stretching and things like that. But we'll have a month and a half, 2 months to rest, which is plenty. I mean, get some active recovery in, stay in shape, things like that. I honestly think it might benefit us in a way because we'll be sharper and we'll be more intact with the skill sets we've learned throughout this season, and we can carry them over in the next season, and it won't be such a long time before we actually get to play. So.
Getting that 2 seasons in within 12 months is a positive about it, though, is you get to constantly watch a ton of film and see what you want to improve on going into it before you ultimately end up at Ohio State. What are you looking to improve on this in the spring, next fall, and just ultimately before you end up at Ohio State?
Mm-hmm. I want to improve on everything, really. I mean, you can never be too good at anything, but one thing I would definitely want to get faster, and I definitely kind of want to get a higher football IQ. I kind of think I'd like to believe that I'm kind of smart when it comes to reading defenses and things like that, but I like to study other NFL tight ends and other NFL players and seeing how they see the field and things like that, so I can kind of adjust that to my game. I want to get more physical with blocking. I've been working on that a lot, and I hope to improve on that as the season progresses. And I just want to be an overall complete tight end by the time I get to Ohio State, so I can just enhance those skills even further.
Now we're already over 4 minutes in. This is typically where I sit here and ask guys, all right, now let's move into your recruitment. Your recruitment, though, is it's done for the most part. I think you'll say you're committed to Ohio State. How do you feel having that commitment? And when are you looking forward to hopefully getting up to Columbus once all this stuff ends?
Yeah, dude, first question, I mean, yeah, I feel great about it. I don't feel like I'm leaning towards any other schools or feel any skeptical about that. My mom, I mean, it's not that she's not 100% in with me, but she'll sometimes ask, are you sure? It's early. I was like, Mom, quit worrying about it. I'm 100%. There's nothing to worry about there, and I don't even tend to acknowledge any other coaches. I just talked to Coach Wilson, Coach Day, and things like that. But I'm hoping to get up to Columbus maybe in the summer when everything kind of opens up. I'll be running track and playing baseball into June, I think, and have some church camps that I'm going to be attending in June. So hopefully by the time June, July comes around, I can hopefully get up there and see the campus and meet the coaches and things like that.
One guy that I imagine you'd like to meet, not necessarily on the coaching staff, but is your other fellow tight end commit, Bennett Christian. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Bennett, because I know you don't talk to a lot of the other commits, but Bennett is one that you do talk to and have a really good relationship with.
Yeah, Bennett's a great dude. Me and him crack jokes all the time, all day, things like that. We snap, we text, we FaceTime sometimes. He's just a good dude, and I really look forward to meeting him and working with him and grinding with him at Ohio State. And I feel like we can be a lot like Jeremy Ruckert and Luke Farrell without that, and I think we can be intertwined really, and we can swap each other out too, because he's a really talented tight end, really good pass catcher, really good, great blocker really, and hopefully I can learn a thing or two from him.
You talk a lot about his game, like you understand. You mentioned being football smart and understanding the game, but it sounds like you've definitely watched his film and everything. Ohio State has been trying to get 2 tight ends for a class for probably a handful of years now, but you and Bennett were really the first time they were able to do it. Was that something you guys talked about before, having 2 tight ends in the class and just working together before you get to Ohio State?
No, we didn't really talk about having 2 tight ends. Me and Bennett didn't really start talking until after he committed. And by that time, I had kind of made up my mind that I wanted to go to Ohio State. It was still a month before I officially committed, but by that time, me and Bennett actually started talking. I had kind of already made up my mind on where I wanted to go, and Bennett kind of just helped me solidify that, because I knew him, being around him and being around all those great dudes and funny guys, it's definitely where I wanted to be around.
Towards the Big Ten Championship and the playoff games, you saw the likes of Jeremy Ruckert sort of explode, had a handful of touchdowns. You and I always talk about it when something happens with Jeremy Ruckert, but when you watch that, is that something you just sort of take it, that brings a smile to your face, just knowing that the Ohio State's using the tight ends and they're getting a lot of love?
Oh, absolutely. I just like when they're in the game blocking. I mean, I get hyped when they make a big block. I mean, last season, Trey Sermon could have ran for 3 yards down the field, and I'd be jumping up and down, being hyped because Jeremy Ruckert put someone on his butt. That's just kind of how I am. I love watching, even when I'm watching some random team play, I love watching the tight ends and how they work. It's definitely something I rewatch a lot, and definitely something I'd love to see.
One final thing I want to ask about, because I think a lot of people when they talk about Ohio State is they don't develop tight ends, or they don't use a ton of tight ends, but I think that's something that you and Bennett, like when you talk about it, you guys don't necessarily agree with, that you see him being developed, but not necessarily in the way everybody wants to talk about. What do you see so much about Ohio State that you want to be a tight end there?
They develop the most complete tight ends in the nation, and I firmly believe that. Coach Wilson's a really great coach. He has great drills that he does that, completes tight ends, really. I mean, if they're better at one thing than the other, he'll double down on their weaknesses to kind of balance that out, and that's one thing I really like about him, and I feel like me and Bennett will get a lot of reps. They play a lot. I mean, people say, well, they don't throw to him, who cares? I mean, they get to play. They play football, so that's the main thing me and Bennett really like about it.
Well, I said last question, but I do want to end on this one. You have a unique perspective. Once all the coaching staff sort of settled and Parker Fleming got elevated to be the special teams coordinator, he was one of the guys that recruited you and sort of talked to you about Ohio State. What can you tell the fan base that's going to watch this about Coach Fleming, and what should Ohio State know about the coach?
I mean, he puts everything he has into coaching. I mean, when I was first being recruited by him, anytime that I needed to, he would go on a Zoom with me, talk about Ohio State. He's kind of like he was basically a leader to me in the recruiting process. Anytime I needed him, he was there for me, and he talked all about Ohio State and really gave them a positive vibe, and I think he's going to bring that into the coaching staff and the position he's in right now, and I think he's just going to work his tail off, and good things are going to come from it.
Thanks, Benji.